Well, here it is. This is what I filed yesterday to the Idaho Supreme Court. And what I've asked them to do is, before the Supreme Court of the state of Idaho, September 4th, 2013, Supreme Court docket 40016, complaint docket number of commission 2008-013505 against the Idaho State Insurance Fund of fraud. The appellant is requesting for opinion number 86 filed August 14, 2013 to be forwarded to the United States Supreme Court as record as a whole. The appellant tried to show to the Supreme Court of Idaho the altered documents in relation to my appeal of the fraud, but was told, stated on the CD of January 5th of 2013 at oral argument, not at this time, but if we need to, we will ask you. Then the Supreme Court asks the defendants if those are in the records. But there are more than one altered document. So how did the courts and the Supreme Court know which document appellant was asking? And how did the defendants know which documents to speak about after appellant was told not at this time? So, James W. Clark, it was filed at 4:44. I was cutting it close. So, me and Elaine's on our way back home. I guess I did what I could do. Since again, I still can't get a straight answer out of Steve Kenyon, clerk of the court. As we can see, we know how his messages are for me. And so that's where I'm at. That's all I know I can do for right now. Even though Steve Kenyon kept telling me the only thing I'm able to do right now is file for a new hearing. But as I was reading, if I file for a new hearing, then what the Supreme Court can do is they can just dismiss it, or it can be granted. But if it's granted, if I read it right, everything, it starts all over, and I don't want that. These people are going to be held responsible for their actions. Straight out. I'm not a quitter. And another thing, the Supreme Court, nowhere did it even discuss money, other than they affirmed. Well, this was in regards to a complaint against the Idaho State Insurance Fund, which is filed separate from your claim. So how can my claim of my injury be also in the records of this complaint against the State Insurance Fund, which again, you must file separate. When one must file a complaint against the State Insurance Fund, it must be filed separate. That's what I did. And then I received this docket number of my complaint. I mean, they may speak it as a claim sometimes, in which they do. They speak it as a claim or a complaint. All depends on what protects their fancy butt because of the fraud they committed. Mr. Loans, I will be going and seeking federal charges on you. And I will expect for you to be arrested. The record as a whole. And then they affirm. Now, what about these false and libel statements that are published? The Idaho Supreme Court didn't talk about those either. That was also part of my appeal because I want them taken down. And it is also stated on my CD. So I'm just saying, forward it to the Idaho Supreme. Please forward your opinion, because y'all confirmed them. Because again, there is a Lynn Luker / legislator who is in the middle of this. And the Supreme Court even said in oral argument, so where am I really on that? So you see, what about Lynn Luker? Because it states right there in oral argument on my CD where one of the officers said that, one of the judges said that, yes, we are the ones that reviewed that, and we are the ones that decided that Lynn Luker did not appear, but that is a separate matter. Well, a separate matter, then what happened to the filing that I sent to the commission to be forwarded in regards to Lynn Luker's lien that I have? It's got a fax, it's got, it's fax documented. Because didn't the Supreme Court just tell me also that I just heard again a couple of minutes ago that I can file by fax or email? Now, why in the hell has Steve Kenyon been telling me in emails that I've been denied since oral argument? And then you all have also heard a tape where somebody's also told me it doesn't matter what the Supreme Court said. And that's just like about what you said, Mr. Alan K. Hall, for the law firm of Anderson, Julian Hall, when me and Elaine Kerr came to your office. And you stated out, speaking to my microphone, you spoke out and says, I don't care if the commission lied. Well, we'll see about that. Because what about your lying to the Supreme Court? You're saying that Dr. Hansen agreed with their doctors in the way that I was to be returned back to work? Well, I'll tell you what, it definitely ain't how he put it in his deposition. So again, the Supreme Court based their opinion also on the records that the Idaho State Insurance Fund committed and received fraudulently with misstatements in them that I've had taken away because of misstatements legally. So you see, they can no longer be used. And then Rachel O'Barr, your affidavits, and how you all made it sound like Miss Jill Owens had concerns. But I hadn't seen or even talked to you guys for a year. Remember, I hired Lynn Luker / legislator, even though he's a quitter. Yeah, you guys are fucked. I will be coming seeking damages. You guys could have gotten away with just helping me with the doctors and the psychological partner. And then, Mr. Hall, you state that Dr. Hariza, because I noticed how your voice went real low, and you were saying that Dr. Hariza didn't believe that I had PTSD. Well, you know what? I think you better. It's too late. It's going before the United States Supreme Court. At least it better be. Because I filed that to the Idaho Supreme Court in the same manner that I filed it from the Industrial Commission to the Supreme Court. A piece of paper. A little bit more. Because I had to wait for a response from the Supreme Court to tell me what I've got to do. If there's any filing fees that I got to do. So when Steve Kenyon asked me, well, Steve Kenyon was really eager to let me know what it cost to file for a new hearing, which is what he was trying to get me to do. But you see, he sure didn't tell me what I'd have to do now when I actually presented him with not no brief, no affidavit, or no, or whatever he was asking me, do I also have a copy of? I did give him 6 copies of this. That's because he wanted them when they were laying there. But I was only giving him 1, and I had 6 more just in case he tried to pull a quick one on me. But it didn't happen, so I just, well, you know what? Here's 6 more though if you need them for anything. So you see, yeah, I was ready, but he didn't say anything about it. He didn't say, well, it's going to cost you this much or that much to file before them. And he asked me if I filed a motion for financial hardship to not be allowed not to have to file, based upon my financial hardship as I was granted through the Supreme Court. But when I asked for an application, I was told by Steve Kenyon they don't have applications. But that's how they sent me, was an application for financial hardship. So now what's Steve telling me now? That's because Steve's been very busy altering documents because he's the clerk of the courts. He's the one that puts together the records. And if you all are, if you know somebody that's in prison and they're having to file like as an appellant, you need to make sure that whatever document that they're sending them, they can back up how they wrote it. Because we need to understand that as appellants, we don't have that legal authority, really. Even though the Supreme Court said that I should be treated as an attorney, but I've been denied access to the records. I've been denied access to review the records. I've been denied access to the final review of the records by the state insurance funds records. The law firm managers in Julian Hall are denying me a copy of my medical records that they have in their possession that are a copy of my file, which I'm entitled to. And I also have emails requesting those and was being denied and still denied. And it's been more than 10 days. Matter of fact, it's going on a month and a half now because they blocked me from emailing them. So you see, now they're really covering their butts. Because I also have her speaking about how if I do a settlement offer, but I also have to throw in the the overpayment. What overpayment? Oh, the one that the Supreme Court and the Commission granted you. I see. What do I get for almost losing my life? What did I get? What did I get for almost losing my life? Fighting for my life for 10 minutes until another employer was able to come and shut the machine off. Okay? And to come and shut the machine off. Took them another 40 minutes to get me out of the machine. And then they had to life flight me because they thought they were going to have to amputate my arm. I go in and see Dr. Gross on on May 2nd. And these open wounds right here, these open wounds, well, they're oozing still. Oozing. This one over here too, because they had to leave these wounds open because they couldn't sew them because my arm was like, okay. But the way that Mr. Hall explained it, that in the records and how it's written, Mr. Clark was on May 2nd, Dr. Gross visit. He was healing well. That's not how he was meaning it, man. Read his records. So, you see, they sent me $11,000. $11,000 for almost losing my life. The company being found in 21 serious violations. Plus, on top of it, they were also found guilty for not giving their employees a safe workplace. But the state insurance company tries to send me back to work, but They're saying I quit my job, and that's posted. I didn't quit my job. So, tell me, man, really what's going on? Is Idaho really that corrupt? But you see, if I've said a lie about it, then you come and sue me. And Lynn Luker, in your letter that you wrote to me here recently, a few weeks back, if you feel that I've threatened you, as you told the police that something, I don't know what you told them, probably about what the lies, like you said, to be able to withdraw. I don't know what you said, and I don't care, because I've never threatened you, ever. I may be saying I'm going to come over there and help you, try to get reelected. Punk. Anyway, yeah, we'll see you soon. Because remember, I still have my complaint, because I don't know if it's confidential, because I already told them that I got a bunch of stuff out on YouTube about you. So what are we going to do about that stuff? Because if it's supposed to be confidential, what about my records? What about the grand jury indictment that I was put before, Mr. Luker, that you knew about? Now, it's out in the open now. But isn't that something that's really, yeah, isn't that stuff that's supposed to be confidential? What did that have to do with my accident? What did anything in my records of my prison have to do? Oh, you guys are trying to say I have a drug history? Well, so far, to me, in my brief that I filed, I like to see what briefs were filed. So I think we will be going to Boise. Because I want a copy of my brief that I filed May 3rd. Because that should be in the record. Standard review. A standard review are the motions, the briefs. Those are in the standard review. And then any denials. And then a copy of the reasons for the denials and what grounds they were done. You got a lot of things to do when you deny somebody something. Yeah, I've read this. How do I put it down on paper? I'm not real sure. Even though the Supreme Court says that I should be treated like an attorney, I don't believe so. I shouldn't have had to defend myself in the first place, because I had Lynn Luker, who I hired on December 27th of 2010. Now, where are we at, Lynn Luker? You abandoned me at oral argument, so I had to do it on my own. Look what happened. I'm going to come and help you get reelected now.